David, you have extensive project experience from Asia. So is there a different way of managing successful projects in Asia than, for example, in Europe?
That's an interesting question, and the answer is both yes and no. There's no straight answer. There are situations, I think, where there are a lot of similarities, and there are situations where there are a lot of differences.
Okay, so what are the differences?
Differences are mainly to do with what's often called the soft side, the people side of projects. Fundamentally, running a project in Asia is no different from running a project anywhere else in the world. It's the application of it and working with people in a different culture or a different physical environment that makes the challenge. People act, behave and work in a different way, and that is the challenge. It's on the people side.
Do you have any examples from own experiences in projects and teams?
Yeah, I think we could generalize in some respects, of course, but for instance, when you work with a group, as a leader in a group, it's a completely different situation in the Asian countries compared to here. And within Asia, Asia's a big place and there's a lot of differences in there, and that's what makes it challenging. If you work with a group in Japan, for instance, it can be very daunting if you put a question to a group of Japanese people. Generally, you won't get much response if you just put a question directly to a group of people, because in the Japanese culture, it's very collective, so it's very difficult for one person to put themselves forward with an action or an answer. Whereas if you put yourself in exactly the same situation with a group of Indians, shall we say, in my experience, if you've got 10 Indians around the table, you'll get 12 answers. You'll have no shortage of answers. So exactly the same situation, but two completely different responses depending on the two different cultures that you're working with. And you need to learn to deal with those differently, of course. You know.
So is there, are there any general advice if I'm a new manager and I have no experience of running a project in Asia? Are there any general advice that you could give to that person?
Yeah, you've got to be prepared for the differences. You will have no problems on the technical side. I think with the technical change environment or with the technicalities of project management. But it's preparing, or shall we say, no bigger differences or challenges than you have in Europe. But you've got to be prepared for the differences on the people side. The best thing is experience. But if you don't have the experience, where do you start? Talk to people who've been there before, absolutely. Read up. But you'll never be able to get the complete information and completely prepare yourself for what's going to happen. So you have to be flexible. Be prepared to think and rethink. You need more time. So don't be over-ambitious, I think, in terms of getting quick results straight away. But give yourself and your team the time to prepare and understand each other. The other thing would be communication. Work with the communication. There are 200 different versions of the English language. So even communicating in English, where you think or assume that you're using the same words and you're meaning the same things by them, you'll discover that actually they can be misinterpreted too. So those are the big things. Give yourself and do the preparation and work hard on the communication.
You're responsible for Wenell Asia, so why are you passionate about working in Asia?
The thing I like about working in Asia is because it gets to the essence of what project management is actually about. Okay. Project management is about managing uncertainty, and in Asia you get much more uncertainty. So it challenges you to think on your feet, to think again, to see the different perspectives. It's very stimulating. It can be hard work, tiring. You have the physical environment, which is different. You have the time zones, you have the food, the climate. So it's challenging, but it's stimulating.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. Now, a final question is, if I have a question and I'm perhaps a new manager going there, is it okay to just drop you an email to have contact with you?
Sure, email's probably the best way. Because of the travel I do, it can be difficult with the phone sometimes. So an email, david.williamson@wenell.se, and yeah, I'll answer, and it'll be good to hear from you.